Hello and welcome to the ARCS. We're live here from Homestead, Miami Speedway for the running of the Little Debbie 80. This is the cutoff race that will decide the 4 drivers that will make it into the Championship 4 for the inaugural season of the Adrenaline Racing Cup Series. Now, let's take a look at your top 10 qualifiers in today's race. Starting on the pole, Ricky Quinn. In second, Mitch Barrier. In third, Matthew Bussey Jr. In fourth, Sean Carson. In fifth, Jacob Bradley. In sixth, Ellie Buss. In seventh, Carter Hayden. In eighth, Diego Tacone. In ninth, Brandy Harper. And rounding out your top 10, Pedro Perez. Let's take a look at the rest of the contenders here in today's race and get right on into the action. And we're live here at Homestead, Miami Speedway for the running of the Little Debbie 80 for the final race before the Championship 4 is determined. And the pace car is going to dive off, and your top 4 drivers in points right now are Noah Hobson, Pedro Perez, Elias Goodbias, and Carter Hayden. Will that change before this race ends here in Homestead? We don't know, but the green flag is out, and we're underway. And we've got a crash in the back early here. Noah Hobson's involved, the points leader. Oh my goodness, and a wreck to start this race. And a couple playoff drivers as I see here involved. And we'll get a replay of this accident in just a moment. And we're back here at Homestead Miami Speedway in the cutoff race before the Championship 4. And our points leader, Noah Hobson, is involved here as Jordan Walker and Tyler Seville get involved. And Andy Seville goes for a flip and a half. And Denzel Scott, we'll get those replays in just a moment. But a lot of playoff drivers early getting involved in accidents. And we're back here with another view of the accident, and we're going to give you an ARCS crank it up from the viewpoint of Andy Seville, the playoff driver. Let's take a look. As Andy Seville and Denzel Scott go for a wild ride, and that's definitely not how Andy Seville wanted to start his cutoff race here at Homestead. And we're back here at Homestead Miami Speedway, 5 of 54 complete, and we got a palm tree here. And unfortunately for Andy Seville and his crew, he is done for the day. As you look in the top right-hand corner of your screen, he is going to finish 39th here in today's race, and that will officially eliminate Andy Seville from playoff contention here at Homestead Miami early in this race. And Matthew Bussey Jr. is going to get the green flag here at Homestead. 6 of 54 complete here in the Little Debbie 80. And we'll see if they don't wreck again here, as Matthew Bussey Jr. is just hoping to hold on here as he is tied. Well, from last race's standings, he was tied for the transfer spot with Carter Hayden, who is up here as well in the 3rd place position. But Carter Hayden had 2 wins to Matthew Bussey's 0, so that was the tiebreaker. But Matthew Bussey Jr. just hoping to collect as many points as he can here to get in to the final race to decide the champion in Florida. Ooh, and Marin Kozarich is off back there, and she's down on pit road, or he is down on pit road, under power, but obviously Marin Kozarich is done, most likely, in the playoffs here. So another driver that will probably be eliminated, but unofficially eliminated, because Marin is still in the race. Matthew Bussey Jr. holding on strong here over Beth Sanders in that 31 for RCR. RCR 1-2 here at Homestead Miami Speedway. As we've got 3 wide throughout the pack, but a small group of drivers back there. In about 35th place, I should say. When Beth Sanders is going to look to the inside of Matthew Bussey Jr. for the lead here. As we've got 2 wide on the backstretch for the lead here going into turn 3. And Beth Sanders is going to take the lead here, coming out of 4. Mitch Barrier going to look to the inside of Matthew Bussey Jr. Whoa! Oh, and Pedro Perez, the playoff driver, almost gets spun by Quinn Porter. That could have been disastrous for Pedro Perez. We've got 4 or 5 wide here in turn 1 and 2. This is not going to be good. Oh, there's going to be a wreck, folks, if they... Oh, my goodness, and they're 5 wide. 5 wide, folks, and oh, Pedro Perez and Diego Tacone are together. Don't crash, boys, don't crash, and they save it. They saved it. Both drivers, both in the playoffs, save it, and I just think they saved their season there, as we're back to the action here. Oh my goodness. I don't think the action left, and Beth Sanders still in the lead with Cassidy Reynolds in second. And Matthew Bussey Jr. getting shuffled out here. But whoa, and they're still 4 and 5 wide back there in the pack, just holding on as they're desperately fighting for points to make it into the championship 4. Bussey Jr. going to use that muscle underneath the inside of Ellie Buss and Dmitry Yanukovych on the outside. And Bussey is going to get the spot. He's going to get 5th spot from Ellie Buss. As Jacob Bradley, another driver who desperately needs points, is up inside the top 2 here. Jacob Bradley was the lowest driver coming in. He's going to need a miracle to make it to the championship 4, but he is in position for the miracle to happen, though. He is in second place. As Mitch Barrier is to the inside of that 24 machine of Jacob Bradley. And, oh, Cassidy Reynolds going to dive to the inside of Mitch Barrier, but not going to get there. So we've got 4 cars strung out here for the lead here. As I believe the 5th place car is Pedro Perez after nearly cleaning out Diego Tacone and getting spun, I believe, by Quinn Porter here. So Pedro Perez has had a event full of interesting moments here. Only 12 laps into the 54-lap race here in the Little Debbie 80. As Jacob Bradley is your leader now, and he'll lead this lap. He'll lead lap 13 of 54. As Mitch Barrier's been a force up at the front today, and I believe he was a force up at the front last race toward the end. So he's been a dominant car the last 2 races. And my producer's pointing out to me, Jacob Bradley, as we sit right now in the points, if everything stays as it is, even if Jacob Bradley leads this race and wins it, he is eliminated on points. So unfortunately for those Jacob Bradley fans, he is just going to be riding out there and finishing out the day and his season, so unfortunate for me to say that, but it's true, ladies and gentlemen. And Mitch Barrier still has the commanding lead here, but Pedro Perez, another driver that needs points, is in 4th place. Looking for 2nd place, going to make it 3 wide for 2nd. Desperately needing the points here is Pedro Perez. And Pedro Perez is 2nd in points, so Pedro Perez just hoping to hold on to any resemblance of playoff hope here, but he is so far so good here as Noah Hobson has taken a massive L in the early beginning of this race as he crashed in that opening crash, and Jacob Bradley, I think he, if we go through the ticker here, is probably in 35th place as we scroll down in the top right hand of your screen. And yes, 34th place for Noah Hobson, our regular season champion. And that's not a good look for him. He likely will transfer and make it into the Final 4, but you never know. Here at Homestead, a lot of crazy things can happen. And speaking of crazy things, we've got 3 wide here, a bunch of cars in this little pack right here. We could see an accident as Beth Sanders, in the back. Oh! And Beth Sanders nearly turns Matthew Bussey Jr. Matthew Bussey Jr. needs every single point he can get because he is tied as of the last race standings with Carter Hayden for the transfer spot. Bussey Jr. is dropping like a rock. That is definitely not what that team wanted to see here. As Pedro Perez has the lead. My bad, we did not see him get the lead. I was talking about the other playoff contender. As Keith Vega, little tappy tap from the back end from Sean Carson. Whoa. These drivers on the... Beth Sanders in the wall back there, but they stay straight. As Theophilus Morgendorfer, we've not talked about him all day. He's inside the top 3, along with Keith Vega and Tristan Fish, who qualified up front, but has dropped back. And our fastest lap of the day, the Little Debbie fastest lap of the day, I should say, goes to Mark Ware in that 42 machine. And in second for the fastest lap. Oh, and speaking of fast things, Theophilus Morgendorfer is going to look for the lead here as a couple drivers are in the wall in the backstretch here. As Theophilus Morgendorfer, the non-playoff driver, is going to take the lead. The top 2 drivers are not in the playoffs. So this is interesting here. And Deacon Gentleman, another driver that I think, as I look at my producer over here, and he's, going to look at me and say that Deacon Gentleman is likely out of the championship fight here, but he is just hoping for a good result. But we'll have to see how things play out. But I know for a fact Jacob Bradley is out. and Andy Seville is not going to make the Championship 4, so there are 2 drivers out of the 16 that are definitely not making it, and Deacon Gentleman is another driver that likely will not make it. But oh, and we got to crash Matthew Bussey Jr. around. Oh, and the big one here at Homestead. Oh, and Matthew Bussey Jr., a playoff driver, goes around, and this is not good here at Homestead. And we're back here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Matthew Bussey Jr. was on the cusp of a Championship 4 appearance, and he gets wrecked here at Homestead in a big crash as a bunch of playoff drivers involved. Brandy Harper, Matthew Bussey Jr., I believe there's 2 or 3 other playoff drivers in there, but I couldn't see because of the smoke. And we're back here at Homestead Miami Speedway for the cutoff race. And I'm sorry to report for the Bussey Jr. fans, Matthew Bussey Jr. is going to finish 38th in today's race, and he is officially eliminated from playoff contention here in the ARCS, along with Ringus McDingus as well, who will finish 37th, and Marin Kozarich is a lap down, another playoff driver, but definitely not having a good day, and Mitch Barrier is going to lead us to green, and the top 4 playoff drivers, I have no clue who's going to make the Championship 4 here, as we've got 3 wide for the restart, almost 4 wide for the restart. Mitch Barrier on the outside, and will Pedro Perez take it 4 wide for the lead? And he will! He's going to take it 4 wide here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Oh my goodness, folks. It's 3 wide for the lead, was 4 wide. And Pedro Perez and Deacon Gentleman fighting it out here. 2 playoff drivers, but Deacon Gentleman is likely eliminated here. But you never know. It's not over till the fat lady sings as Tristan Fish looks to the inside of Pedro Perez. Oh, they're close there. Oh, and Beth Sanders is on the apron a little bit with Clay Stone. It's go time here in the final race before the Championship 4, as we've got 25 of 54 complete, almost halfway here in the Little Debbie 80. And Roland Heidfeld, another playoff driver that's toward the bottom, but if he got some help, he could sneak in. Is looking to the inside for 2nd place, but Beth Sanders going to stick her nose in there below Roland Heidfeld. Whoa, don't wreck. Oh, and just as I say that, Beth Sanders drops below Roland Heidfeld, and I think we might have 3 wide for the lead almost here. Nope, Tristan Fish is going to close the door on Roland Heidfeld, and the pack has closed together here at Homestead. About 15-20 cars here left without damage, and a bunch of stragglers in the back. And if we go to the back for just a moment here and look at, we got Jared Jansen, Sean Carson back here, Mark Ware, Joshua Harrison, Callian Bogarts with a little bit of damage, Marin Kozarich, playoff driver, Brandy Harper, playoff driver, and you can see some skid marks on the front stretch. We're just showing you some of the drivers back there who are still in this race but are going to need a miracle here at Homestead, as Roland Heidfeld is going to throw a Hail Mary here and going to go for the lead. He needs this win so desperately, and a lot of other things to go right to make the Champ 4. As we see 5 wide, I repeat, 5 wide for the 5th place position. Whoa, and they hold on. As Clay Stone, I believe, whacked the wall there and really slowing that outside lineup. And Maxwell Smart, another playoff driver in the front here. Or not, non-playoff driver, I should say, sorry, non-playoff driver. As we've got the top 3 drivers are playoff drivers, but then you got Maxwell Smart crashing the party up here as he was the winner at Darlington. He's going to go for 3rd over Deacon Gentleman, who is pretty much all but dead here in this one for playoff contention. And Tristan Fish is our leader here. Tristan Fish, could we see Tristan Fish get his way in if he wins here? If we look at the standings, Tristan Fish, he could possibly get in. He's a driver like Roland Heidfeld, who, with these drivers that have been crashing out like Matthew Bussey Jr. and Trevor Walker and Tyler Seville, Noah Hobson, I mean, we can likely see some underdogs here at the bottom of the point sheet for the playoffs sneak into the top 4. As Deacon Gentleman's going to look to the inside of Matthew, or my bad, not Matthew Bussey Jr., both red cars here in the ARCS. That's Maxwell Smart on the outside there, the non-playoff driver. Paris Riley's going to look to the inside of Theophilus Morgendorfer for the 3rd place position. We've got 30 of 54 complete here. As you can see, that M&M's Camry back there, that's Noah Hobson, still in this race after an early crash as the points leader. He likely will make it. Whoa, a little bit of contact for Jarrett Trudell. Jarrett Trudell has been the Dale Earnhardt of this series. He has spun many a people off his front bumper here. And 3 wide for third, as I believe Jarrett Trudell's going to get the spot, and Deacon Gentleman's going to go for the lead here. Deacon Gentleman won at Road America earlier this season, pulling off a last lap pass against Draven Sandy. And Deacon Gentleman's going to pull the pass off here in turn 3. So he's going to get it over Tristan Fish, and Maxwell Smart's going to look to the inside of Jarrett Trudell for the 3rd spot. Oh, and we got a lap car, Jared Jansen. This is going to mess things up here. Whoa, and he's going to hold up Jarrett Trudell on that outside line. Whoa, a little bit of contact there with Theophilus Morgendorfer, and this pack is getting funky here. Jared Jansen holding everyone up here. This is definitely not what they want to see. And Noah Hobson is getting those positions. Oh, we got a crash. Oh, and playoff drivers involved. Multiple playoff drivers involved, and a big one here. Oh, and Ellie Buss is up and over. A big one. Multiple playoff drivers, like I said earlier, are involved. And this is playoff calamity corner in turn 3. And we need to get a replay of this accident. And we're back here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And we need a replay of this accident. Jerry Funk, Diego Tacone, and Roland Heidfeld get involved. Trevor Walker involved. A bunch of playoff drivers. Tyler Seville escapes through. And, Dre Hare and Brandy Harper smack Ellie Buss. And I don't even know who is left in this race for playoff drivers. And we'll get another replay of the accident here in just a moment. And we're going to give you an ARCS Crank It Up here at Homestead Miami Speedway with Ellie Buss. And as we're about to get ready for the restart here, Carter Hayden with engine problems. And this has thrown a monkey wrench into his championship hopes as he pulls off from about the 9th position. He's going to pull to the apron and we'll likely get a restart here. But Carter Hayden is off track. And add that to the list of playoff drivers involved here at Homestead Miami Speedway, as Tristan Fish, the playoff driver, is going to lead us to green here in Homestead, with Deacon Gentleman in 2nd and Maxwell Smart in the 3rd place position. Flagman's got the green flag out, and we're underway. Oh, poor Carter Hayden, as you see his championship hopes go up in smoke here late in this race. Only about 15 or 20 drivers, well, I'd say probably 15 now, without any damage in this one, as it has just eaten up the entire field. And, Carter Hayden with a clutch issue if you look over to the right-hand portion of our screen, and he will finish 26th position likely, with Jared Jansen still a lap down. But it's still anybody's race here, and a bunch of other drivers pitting, but these drivers up here are the remaining few who have survived the carnage here at Homestead Miami Speedway, with Deacon Gentleman and Tristan Fish needing a good playoff run here, with a bunch of other playoff drivers having problems. I might have to retract my comment earlier saying Deacon Gentleman's dead in the water here. He still has a shot if he wins and gets some help, but it is going to be a long shot here at Homestead. 39 of 54 complete in the Little Debbie 80, as Tristan Fish is going to try to get the lead back from Theophilus Morgendorfer. As Quinn Porter and Diego Tacone are lone stragglers back there behind the pack. And we'll see our fastest lap of the race is still Mark Ware with a 30.7. And Mitch Barrier's going to look to the lead here, the non-playoff driver, followed by Jarrett Trudell, another non-playoff driver. Going to lead that lap here. And we've got 14 laps to go here at Homestead, Miami, as Jarrett Trudell's going to muscle his way underneath Tristan Fish and Mitch Barrier for the lead here. About 10 cars under a blanket here that all could win this race. And definitely not the turnout we want to see at an end of a ARCS race, but it has been a true race of survival here And I mean, the last couple races for these playoff drivers have been a race of survival. You think back to Coca-Cola Superspeedway, big wrecks there. Dave Wilson going up and over on his lid. You go to Darlington, the race before, a lot of crashes there. You go to Charlotte, a lot of crashes. I mean, this playoffs has just been brutal. And I've got to hand it to the 4 drivers that make it into the Championship 4 for the inaugural ARCS Championship race, because they have been through hell here in this playoffs. And Maxwell Smart is going to look for the lead here in turn 4, coming off turn 4, I should say. As Mitch Barrier is 4 wide, as we got Mitch Barrier, Pedro Perez, Deacon Gentleman, and Clay Stone for about the 7th position. Whoa, don't wreck, guys. They are one of the top remaining playoff drivers left here, as Tristan Fish, Pedro Perez, and Deacon Gentleman are pretty much the only remaining playoff drivers within this top pack here, as Theophilus Morgendorfer is going to look to the inside of Maxwell Smart. And I honestly, halfway through this race, I couldn't have told you who's going to make the Champ 4. And as we sit right now, I have no clue, folks. No clue whatsoever who's going to make the Champ 4. I mean, the only person I think has a shot here is Noah Hobson with that points buffer from being our regular season champ and winning a race. But I do not know. I do not know. Maybe Pedro Perez with the good run he's having right now and the points he's got in the bank from his 2 wins this season. But, oh my goodness, it's just been a crazy race here at Homestead, and Maxwell Smart has the lead here. 10 laps to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway for the Little Debbie 80, the cutoff race before we crown a champion in Daytona. Keith Vega in second. Deacon Gentleman, the playoff driver, looking for third here. Diego Tacone just trying to get any draft off these front drivers here, but he is, I think, in the 12th position roughly. Yes, he is 12th as we look at the ticker on the right-hand side of your screen. And, wow, a lot of drive. Uh-oh. I see a lap car. I spy the lap car of Jared Jansen. Again, Jared Jansen's thrown the wrench into a lot of drivers' playoff chances here. Oh no, Jared Jansen, get out of the way. The pack is coming, and Maxwell Smart's got to make a move. Which lane does he go for? Oh, and Maxwell Smart's going to try the outside. Oh no, this is not what you want to see here. As Jared Jansen's going to hold up the pack. And Mitch Barrier is going to dive to the inside, but that's going to hold up 2 or 3 drivers in that middle lane. But Maxwell Smart picked the right line there, going to the outside of Jared Jansen. And Deacon Gentleman is the highest playoff driver. And Jared Jansen still holding up Keith Vega there. But as we're way strung out here in the later stages of this race, as Maxwell Smart is your leader here at Homestead, with Deacon Gentleman looking for second place over Theophilus Morgendorfer. And they are really strung out now, almost single file all the way back to the remaining cars in 25th place, as we're side by side for second still in turn 3 and 4, or turn 1 and 2, I should say. But about 6 or 7 drivers left at the front of this pack, with Jared Jansen going through and absolutely annihilating the front of this field. And this is definitely not how you want to see a playoff race end, but it has been, like I've said, all playoffs long. These races have been races of attrition. And another lap car, folks. Sean Carson probably going to make things interesting here. Maxwell Smart's going to have to dodge another bullet here in the race. Let's see where Sean Carson's going to drop. Is Sean Carson going to let the leaders by, or is he going to be a nuisance here? Oh, Maxwell Smart going to go to the bottom, but oh, can Maxwell Smart get around? And he does, but Deacon Gentleman, a playoff driver, stuck behind Sean Carson. That is not good. Deacon Gentleman going to go to the inside, but Mitch Barrier's going to pen him in on that outside line. Sean Carson has been an absolute fiend here in this race, but that has brought Jarrett Trudell up in the mix, and Clay Stone as well. 4 cars roughly under a blanket here in the top 4, as Sean Carson has gotten shuffled out, but Deacon Gentleman has been a victim of Sean Carson's miscue here at Homestead, and we're going to get 5 laps to go as we cross the stripe here at Homestead. And more lap cars up ahead, as Noah Hobson and Roland Heidfeld, 2 playoff drivers, just dogging it out. It's literally a dogfight at the back for any points they can get. And we've got 4 or 5 cars up at the front in the first pack here, and then we've got another 6 or 7 back there. But they are just drafting off of each other and just hoping that we do not get overtime here at Homestead, as Jared Trudell is going to look for the lead. The first pass for the lead in about 4 laps here at Homestead. But the lap cars of Roland Heidfeld and Noah Hobson are coming up, as Clay Stone's going to look to the bottom for the lead here over Jared Trudell. Uh-oh, the lap cars are going to be coming up, and if they go too wide here, it's going to block everyone. Oh, this is not going to be good, folks. Not going to be good at all. But speaking of not good, things that are going good right now is Pedro Perez is inside the top 4. And, uh-oh, the lap cars are here, folks. Let's see how it shakes out. As Maxwell Smart's going to get blocked in by Roland Heidfeld. Oh, but Maxwell Smart's going to get Roland Heidfeld out of the way. And he's going to get below Noah Hobson. That's going to screw that outside line as the 3 cars of Maxwell Smart, Maxwell Smart, Pedro Perez, and Theophilus Morgendorfer are going to get through the carnage of the lap cars and maneuver their way through. Whoa, Paris Riley and Jarrett Trudell with a little bit of contact there. 2 laps to go here at Homestead. 3-car battle for the lead here. Pedro Perez, likely if he gets this win, will punch his ticket to Daytona with the points he has amassed through this race and the rest of the playoffs. But anything goes here. It's the Wild West here at Homestead. Maxwell Smart to the inside of Theophilus Morgendorfer for 2nd place. And we're coming up to the final lap here at Homestead Miami Speedway. White flags in the air, 1 to go. Pedro Perez, playoff driver. Maxwell Smart, non-playoff driver. Let's see how the final lap shakes out. Maxwell Smart to the inside of Pedro Perez coming off turn 2. Side by side for the lead here at Homestead. The top playoff driver is Pedro Perez as we sit. The second playoff driver in line here is Tristan Fish, and third is Deacon Gentleman, but Maxwell Smart is going to get a challenge from Theophilus Morgendorfer here. It's going to be a drag race for the win here, but Maxwell Smart's going to get the victory here at Homestead. Congratulations to Maxwell Smart on his 2nd win, and his 2nd win here in the playoffs, but he's a non-playoff driver. But Pedro Perez, Tristan Fish, and Deacon Gentleman are the order of the top finishing playoff drivers. And folks, we're going to give you a top 10 field rundown, and we're going to get you right into the points and see who made it into the final race in the ARCS Championship battle. And we're back here at Homestead Miami Speedway after a chaotic race in the Little Debbie 80. And Maxwell Smart takes the victory as the non-playoff driver. Theophilus Morgendorfer gets 2nd place. Pedro Perez gets 3rd as the top playoff driver. In 4th, Keith Vega. In 5th, Jarrett Trudell with a strong race. In 6th, the 2nd place playoff driver in this grid. In 7th, Paris Riley. In 8th, Mitch Barrier. In 9th, one of the Walkers, Jordan Walker. And rounding out your top 10, the 3rd in line of the playoff drivers, Deacon Gentleman. And now, let's take a look at your Championship 4 in just a moment. After you see as every driver finished here in today's race, we only had 18 finishers on the lead lap here at Homestead, a crazy race. But let's take a look at who makes it to the Championship 4. And we're back here at Homestead Miami Speedway after a chaotic race, and we're going to get you the final point standings before the championship race to decide who your 4 drivers are that will be fighting it out for the championship here in the ARCS at Daytona. But before we get into that, just a quick word. There was a points discrepancy. We didn't add the points up correctly for one driver, Jacob Bradley, but we did notice that during this race, we noticed that his points were a little lower than they should have been over the last couple races, so we apologize there, but everyone else's points are correct, and we've double-checked everything, so everything is good. And let's get into the points here, the ARCS Championship fight. We're going to turn 16 drivers into 4, and the first driver into the final 4 is Noah Hobson, of course. He was our regular season champion, carried the most points throughout the playoffs, and led the entire way. So he is, in many people's minds, probably the championship favorite here in the inaugural season. We're going to see who's second in the points here. And Pedro Perez, another driver that was very dominant this season, got 2 wins. He was 4 points behind Noah Hobson for the regular season, or not the regular season, but 4 points behind him in the seeding, I should say. Let's take a look at your third driver in. Elias Goodbias getting into the playoffs, or holding his spot, I should say. He was 2,103 points, so a 33-point gap between Pedro Perez and Elias Goodbias. And I have no clue, folks, who the fourth driver is going to be. My producer has surprised me, and the fourth driver in to the Final Four is Jerry Funk. My goodness, Jerry Funk is the last driver in, and he beats out Carter Hayden by 6 points. Let me reiterate, that's 6 positions throughout the championship fight for the last 4 races here. Last 4 races, I should say. And Carter Hayden loses out by 6 positions. And you can see the rest of the drivers here in the playoffs. Good job and congratulations to everyone who made it into the playoffs just to start with, but another congratulations for the top 4 drivers, Noah Hobson, Pedro Perez, Elias Goodbias, and Jerry Funk for being your inaugural ARCS Championship 4.